Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more to life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 21. And today we're going to talk about the most important, most critical. And I know I say this all the time, probably every episode, but I'm telling you, this one right here is the absolute most important episode, or the absolute most important code, I would say. And this is as it relates to our faith, because, Yahweh is the one who made us. And when we pass, we're going somewhere, right? And it's our choice where we're going. Now, this is not a podcast here or episode to try to evangelize you. Although, I'm just sharing my point of view, right? But I've never been one to back down from sharing my point of view especially when it comes to my faith, because I have such a high faith and I have such an experience that warrants me to be able to just speak freely and to speak unapologetically about it, right? So again, this is a big one, guys. This is the most important code that we could ever have, because what good is it to gain the whole world and to lose your soul, right? At some point when we leave this earth, we're going somewhere else, and we have a choice which place we want to go. And so again, this is critical. This is key. And let me just tell you a little bit about my journey. So I grew up going to a Methodist church, right? And nothing wrong with a Methodist church, but that's just the kind of church that I grew up in. Actually, it was African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, right? And one of the things about the church as I was growing up is I learned a lot. I learned a lot of stories. I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of scriptures. But when it came to an application perspective, it was very just like a Methodist. It was like a method. It was like very ritualistic, very traditional oriented, right? And so I didn't learn I don't get me wrong, I learned a lot, but I didn't learn as much as I've learned as an adult. Let me just put it that way. And so one of the things that you actually have to go through, in my opinion, is when you go through Yahweh, or otherwise known as God, and I interchangeably use Yahweh. Most people know him as God, and Yeshua, most people know him as Jesus, right? But as a child, it's like it's someone else's God, and then at some point, it has to become your own, right? And that's when you start to know him for yourself. That's when you start to develop relationship with him and stuff like that. So, I've always read my Bible. I've always had a hunger, right, for righteousness and just seeking after him. And so all those experiences in terms of seeking after him led me to, where I am today, which is having an amazing faith in him, and just continuing to seek, right? Because if you seek, the door will be open. If you ask, then he will give it. And if you knock, then the door will be open to you, right? And so, my point here is just that at that church, at my upbringing, I felt like I was still missing something. And then as I grew up, I came upon a Pentecostal style of church, right? And so it was a total different shift, but that's when it really came from, it became even a higher level of passion for me. And the reason why is because I saw with my eyes people being healed of all kind of stuff right in front of me. I'll never forget, I saw someone who had a doctor's note, and his foot was broken, and he was prayed over, and he started running around the whole church, right? I'll never forget. There was a lady, I'm literally standing up front with her, because I was, serving at quite a bit in the ministry. And so I was up front, and there was a lady, and she was, I think it was a girl, and she was deaf in one ear, maybe both, but I know she was deaf. And so all of a sudden, after this encounter, she could hear, right? And it wasn't like a hocus pocus type of thing. It was the real power of God, right? And so just seeing that, it just really enlightened me. It really, like, that's when I was like, oh my goodness, this is real, right? And so I became on fire. I just became on fire. My faith increased like never before. I've always been one that was overly optimistic sometimes to a fault, with a high level of faith, but this took it up a whole nother notch because I realized that the word is true, right? I mean, like growing up, I would read the word and I would study, and it was almost like they were just ancient stories versus being able to relate it to my life today. And seeing those miracles allowed me to be able to see the Bible in real life. And so so I, transitioning from there, just continuing to seek after him and continuing to seek truth, right? Continuing to seek to learn as much as I can because there's so many levels of growth that we can have. And so, but my point, guys, is that I remember getting to a place where I was struggling a lot. I was working so hard, and I felt like things were not coming together. And I'll never forget a pastor, he brought to my attention, Matthew 6:33, and it says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." Right? And so he was showing me how I was going after all these things, right? But if I just seek him first, then all these things would come unto me, right? And so I couldn't figure out why. No, I mean, I take two steps forward and then three, four, five steps back. It seemed like, and it's like something was always going wrong, and things just were not lining up the way I wanted them to and needed them to. And so I decided, look, I grew up in the church. I know what I'm supposed to do. And at that point in time in my life, I wasn't doing it, And so it's kind of like I had one foot in and one foot out, if that makes sense. So I decided to just go cold turkey, go all the way in. And I'm telling you, life has never been the same since. And that does not mean that life is always peachy keen, because trust me, throughout the years, there was still some struggles. There was still some things that happened that were ups and downs and things like that. However, I can tell you that it's been a steady incline, if that makes sense. It's kind of like how stocks work. It's like you have your ups and your downs, your ups and your downs, but over a period of time, if I were to look back, it's been going straight up, right? And so, obviously I'm not where I love to be, but I'm sure not where I used to be. And I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for the insight, but I'm also thankful for the relationship more than anything else. I'm thankful to have a relationship with the Father where I can speak to him and hear from him. And I want you to have that same type of relationship if you choose to, right? Um, because we all have meaning and purpose and assignments and destiny. We all have these things locked up inside of us. And, they say when your car is having an issue, you need to take it to the manufacturer because they built it, so they know exactly what to do. And so as a human being, when you're having issues and you're having, challenges, we need to go to our manufacturer. And so that's what we need to do to really come out on the other side, to really build a life that uh here's the deal. We want to be happy no matter what's happening. I know Winston Churchill said success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. And the journey, the happiness is in the journey, right? I think it was Paul, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that he's experienced good times and he's experienced bad times, and he's learned how to remain happy, no matter what he's going through. And that's where I'm at. It's like I can be going through the fire, but I just remain happy. I have a sense of peace. I have a sense of awareness, right? And it's all because of my relationship with the Father. So do I have times where I feel like he's not talking to me? Oh yeah, absolutely. Do I have times where I feel like, man, why is this happening? Absolutely, right? But it that is all a part of the journey. What father doesn't want to strengthen their children and grow them and mature them to a point where they can even appreciate where they get to and where they become simply because of the experiences that they've had to go through, right? And so it's just been exciting. It's been a journey. And today I just wanted to take a little bit of time, and I hope that we'll obviously talk more about this. We'll have more episodes about this. I'll definitely have some guest speakers on, but I just wanted to just kind of make this as an introductory episode to this idea, this concept, because and this is different though. This is not just. I'm not saying your job is just to go to church every Sunday, and you're gonna live a great life. I'm talking about what's happening when you're at home and it's just you and him, right? And building that kind of relationship where you are reading the word, where you are speaking to him and also letting him speak to you, right? And just being in a place of peace, being in a place, and this is why this is so important because the whole reason for freedom in the first place is to be in the absence of bondage, right? Because if we're not free, then we're bondage. We're in bondage, right? And so bondage comes on so many levels. It comes on health, it comes on spiritual, it comes on financial, it comes on relationships. But again, today we're talking about the bondage of spiritual because it could happen for an eternity if we don't get this part right, right? And the other thing is not just, I mean, worrying about eternity is so important, but also while we're here on this earth, you know, let's have a life of substance. Let's have a life um, where we're having meaning because we're connected to our maker. We're connected to the Father, right? And so I hope you guys got some value from this. Just a little bit of a talk today. I don't want to throw up a whole bunch of scriptures at you tonight or today, but I just wanted to just impart you with a little bit of information to say, hey, you know, even if you've drifted away, maybe you were like me, where you grew up in the church, but you maybe never experienced some of those miracles and things like that I've experienced. I've always been intrigued by the supernatural. I've always been intrigued by, um, just there's matter of fact, the invisible world is so much uh, legit, I guess I would say, than the visible world that we see. Meaning that there's so much happening that our eyes don't see, so much even more than what our eyes do see. And so it's fascinating to me. And I hope it's fascinating to you, that it'll be so fascinating that you'll seek it out, you'll seek him out, and he'll continue to reveal and uncover and show you things and build that relationship with you where you are good, because no matter what's happening in life, you can really be in control because of just not just knowing who you are, but whose you are, if that makes sense. So anyway, again, I hope you guys got some value from this. Feel free to share and listen. We'll see you all over the top. Take care. God bless. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.